Hello guys, welcome to SportsTiger Talks. Today we have an overseas guest, someone from Wellington, a coach who has over 20 years experience as a cricket coach. But what adds another feather to his cap is the fact that he has also coached Devon Conway. Yes, the rising international star Devon Conway. So without any delay, let me welcome the guest of our today's show, the coach of Wellington Firebirds, Mr. Glenn Pocknall. Welcome, Mr. Pocknall.
Thanks very much. Look, I'm really looking forward to chatting cricket with you and everything else that is associated with it.
Yes, same this side, Mr. Glenn. Oh, Mr. Glenn, so before we start, tell me, how are things going amid the coronavirus pandemic in New Zealand?
We're very lucky in New Zealand because we haven't been affected too badly by the coronavirus. The vaccine's been rolled out pretty quickly, and look, we haven't had cases for a long time. We can still go about our normal lives as we would. So from that respect, we're pretty lucky. There's a border has been opened up to Australia, so Australia and New Zealand can travel amongst both countries with no restrictions. So hopefully that's a step in the right direction for what's going to happen in the future with a lot of other countries and opening borders up to them. So we're very lucky.
Okay. And before we now we can move further and we can discuss you have worked closely with Devon Conway and he's now touching another heights at international level now. So how does it make you feel as a coach?
Oh, it's an unbelievable feeling, really, just to see how well he's doing and how well he's done in such a short space of time. I've always known that he was good enough, and he certainly got a heap of runs for us at Wellington and had some absolutely amazing innings. But to see him do it on the world stage it's very hard to explain, but just so happy for him that he's had all the success that he deserves, and it's been a long, tough road for him, but to see him succeed and be so humble in it is really satisfying.
Okay, Mr. Glenn, my next question is to you. You have been a coach, you have seen various players rising very rapidly and growing to another levels. So, what different do you feel Devon Conway has as a player?
He's very calm. He's had so much pressure thrown at him, and you look at the other day as a great example. It's his test over at Lord's, the biggest occasion for any cricketer. That's a huge amount of pressure, and to do what he did is amazing. But his ability just to remain calm and to just go out and bat without any of those distractions is the unique ability that he has. Look, from a training perspective, when he's here in the winter, we try and throw so many challenges at him and try and get inside his head and try to get him frustrated and try and get him to do something stupid. But he's pretty unflappable. He's so calm, and that's been a big part of his success, that no matter what bowling attacks throw at him, no matter what they say at him, no matter what the occasion is, he just has that amazing ability just to block that all out and just face that ball to his best of his ability, which is a lot easier. Sorry, it's a lot harder than it sounds.
Okay, Mr. Glenn, Devon Conway also credits you for the improvements you have done in him. So tell us, what were the improvements that you have done in that player? Means, how did you help that player to grow?
Yeah, I think firstly, it's very kind of him to credit me with that, but he's had so many coaches and so many people help him along the way, and I'm just grateful that I'm a small piece in the puzzle, that I can watch him play and watch him train, really. But I guess the key things that we looked at were about 3 years ago now. He wanted to look at being able to access more areas of the ground and be more fluent with the way he scored his runs. So he initiated that, and he looked at some of the world's best players. He looked at Kohli, He looked at Joe Root, he looked at Steve Smith, he looked at A.B. de Villiers, and then from that we just discussed their setups, and we had a bit of a play around with the way they batted and the way they stand and the way they move, and then we landed on one that was felt really comfortable for him. And then basically we just worked very hard on it for a 4 to 5 month period, so it became so natural in his game that come the season he could just go out and bat again. And the change was really just around his movement. Prior to this change he was still with his feet, but we felt that by adding a pre-movement it just gave him a little bit more flow and ensured that he got in a consistent position right throughout his innings, which in turn meant he had more of an opportunity to score runs, which is the outcome we were looking for, and certainly that outcome has come to fruition, which is fantastic for him.
And my next question is regarding the same thing. How was the attitude of Devon Conway during this time when you guys were helping him improve? Because as I have read in his previous interviews, Devon Conway himself said that he was not that confident. Means he didn't say that I would definitely make to the national squad of New Zealand. And after that, he made it to the squad, and he really proved to be a very good batsman. But please tell me, at that time, during that time when you guys were working on Devon Conway, how were things going on in his mind during that time? How confident was he of making it to the national squad or making it to the highest level?
Yeah, initially when you make a change to a player's technique, especially a player of his experience, he's 26 or maybe 27 at the time, so he'd already played a lot of cricket. So when you make a change that big, it takes a bit of time, and generally most players, when they make a change, they want to see a fix straight away. So the first month of that change was very challenging for him. He became very frustrated. He wanted to go back to his old way, and there were some hard days, some challenging days, but good days. Deep down he realised that if he stuck at it, he would come right, which he did. I'm glad he pushed through that barrier, and then once he became comfortable with it, the rest, I guess, just played the road we wanted to lead, really. Secondly, I think he's always believed that he's good enough to play at the next level. He'd never come out and say that because he's such a humble guy, but look, if he didn't have that inner belief and that confidence, I don't think he would have left South Africa and decided to start his career again in New Zealand, because that takes a lot of character to be able to do that. So certainly having that inner confidence, that belief, has made a big part in him getting to the next level, but also succeeding at that next level.
Now I'll be asking something to you regarding the WTC finale, which starts on June 18th. So tell me, which Indian bowler do you think could really challenge Devon Conway?
Look, all of them could challenge him because they're all world-class bowlers, and that's the beauty of the final, that it's two great teams coming up against each other. But look, I think the biggest threat will have to be Ashwin, especially if it's turning conditions. Ashwin's he's a world-class spinner, and he's been around a long time, and he's worked over many batsmen, especially many left-hand batsmen. So I know that will be a challenge, and that will be a challenge that Devon will be really looking forward to, facing a spinner of that quality. He'll be excited about that challenge, like he was excited to play Anderson and Broad. So yeah, that's the one personally I'm really looking to see how those two go at it, and just seeing that battle and seeing who comes out on top.
Okay, Mr. Glenn, my next question is, when Devon Conway came to New Zealand from South Africa, after 1 or 2 years only, he started performing very well. Even if we talk about the 2019-20 cycle, he was really good with his batting performances, almost top scoring in almost every level, like be it the List A matches, be it the first class matches. So, do you feel that the regulations of ICC should change? Like, he had to wait for 3 years for his time to come. Do you think the regulations of ICC should change?
No, I think the regulations, the way they are at the moment, are good. Like, it really it makes it hard for players, which it should. It shouldn't be easy. You know, Devon's found it pretty tough over the 4-year period because he's had to leave a whole career in South Africa and start a scratch really. And I just believe if you make it too easy or a lesser time frame, then it's going to happen more and more. But we want to, I guess ICC are wanting the best players in the world to be playing, regardless of what team. So it's got to be a challenging process because that way you're going to get the best players, because you're going to also find out the players who are willing to sacrifice the most and make the toughest choices to achieve their dream, which is effectively what he's done. He's wanted to play Test cricket, and he realised that dream wasn't going to happen in South Africa. So he bit the bullet and moved to another country, and knew, I guess, when he did that, it was going to be a long road. And 4 years doesn't really sound like long, but for him, it probably has been a very long road.
Meanwhile, while we are talking about the WTC finale, tell me what difference it could make. Like, New Zealand will be coming to the test match, to the men's WTC finale, after playing with a quality team like England. And India, meanwhile, haven't played any test match. They are just coming from regular practice sessions. So what difference could it make? And does it give an edge to New Zealand over India?
It should do, because they'll be a little bit more match hardened. They would have played 10 days, weather permitting, of tough cricket in the conditions that they're going to be facing against India. So they should be match hardened, they should be prepared physically for what they're going to come up against. Conversely, India having no matches, it could be a good thing for them as well. It could mean that they come in, yes, they may feel underprepared, but they could come in very, come in with no preconceived expectations of what's going to happen. So it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. It's one of those things that you can look at multiple different ways. But I think certainly having some match play should give New Zealand an advantage when they go out into the field. But it just does come down to the mentality and the attitude of each player when they walk out there. And if they all believe in themselves 100%, then they're going to give themselves the best chance. And if there's any self-doubt there, then that will come out in their style of play and how they go about things.
Okay, tell me, had you been in place of coach Gary Stead, then what preparations would you have done for a team like India while facing them in the final of WTC?
Yeah, I guess given there's no potential for a test match prior, definitely be doing a lot of scenario work, and hopefully a lot of centre wicket work. So trying to put the players under as much pressure as possible, and as close to the type of pressure that they're going to get in the test. You can never 100% replicate it. By making it really hard, though, at least you're preparing them mentally as well as physically for the demands that they will come up against New Zealand in the test. But I think the key is, with them not having games, they can hold the players back a little bit, so they've got so much energy for that test match. And I guess that's another thing for New Zealand. They're going to play 10 days of cricket, so hopefully it doesn't, but fatigue could be a factor for them, given they've played so much cricket leading up to, in a short space of time. So I guess that kind of conversely goes one way or another for both of them, which is good.
Okay, now next question is, who do you think is a better captain, Virat Kohli or Kane Williamson?
Look, they're both very good, and I guess the determining factor from that will be the team that wins the final, won't it? But look, they're very different, aren't they? Just you watch them on the field, and I don't know either of them, but I'm just going off what I see on TV and when I watch them live. Like, Virat's obviously very passionate, very vocal, very enthusiastic, and Kane is that as well, but he probably doesn't outwardly show it. So I think the thing about leadership is there's so many different styles and so many different ways you can go about leading people. The key is being authentic and being yourself, and I think by doing that, then you're going to get the best out of your players, because they're going to understand that you're just being yourself, and you're leading your team in the way that you feel is the best fit. So yeah, it's a hard one to answer, but ask me again after the final, and I might have an answer for you then.
You have also been the coach of Ireland women's national team. So tell us something from there, your experience coaching them and how are things there?
Yeah, I was there on a short-term contract, and was just responsible for working with their batters. So at the time, they struggled with power and skill, and they only played white ball cricket. So look, it was a great opportunity over a 4-month period to really arm them with the skills to be able to hit the ball hard and hit the ball for four and hit the ball through the gaps and then run hard between the wickets. So it was a really clear brief that I could put my energy into. So we did a lot of work on basically just hitting the ball over the top, because generally in the women's game over there at the time, there was no outfielders, they were all infielders. So if you could hit the ball either through the field or over the field, then you got runs for starters, but then you did see sweepers move out. So we just had an emphasis of trying to hit fours, which is a pretty cool thing to work with players on, just trying to get to hit the ball as hard as they could. And then once the field spread, just be able to manipulate where they want to hit the ball. So it was a fantastic experience working with that group of women.
Okay, guys, that's it from the interview today. And for more such interesting interviews, keep watching Sports Tiger. Thank you.